Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Retro Wrestling Room. We have a very special guest with us today. Somebody who I'm very excited to get on the channel. I've been trying to get them for a while now, so I'm very glad that we finally managed to schedule our or managed to get our schedule together, and we managed to get him on the show today. We have the Catch Death Style, the master of Catch Death Style, the Death Samurai, the current BJW Deathmatch champion. We have Akira on the show today. How's it going, my man?
Oh, it's going. I my bad for taking so long for getting this to happen. My schedule is just so shit, and I'm tired all the time. So I'll say I want to do something, and then I'll be like, I really don't want to do this. I'm sorry. I don't want to do an interview and just be absolutely like miserable. But like I've been kind of deathmatch free for the past uh month,
Hmm,
and it's just been like hardcore matches. So like I'm slowly getting my energy back. But I'm literally I'm doing this. I'm prepping for. I'm gonna do a couple card breaks on my TikTok thing for my
nice.
sponsor, and I'm just yeah. I'm. It is like noon in Tokyo, and I'm just here vibing with my first drink of the day, my morning monster.
Sometimes you just have to have that morning monster just to get you through the day.
It's every morning. It's every morning because the thing about Japan life is like in New York or any other place, you'd hop on a bus and just kind of go everywhere, or you hop in your car. With Japan's lifestyle, with Tokyo lifestyle, it's you walk everywhere. So it's like
Right.
either you're drinking caffeine, some kind of caffeine, go 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 go. But it also helps to like this is like in the states, this is maybe 4 bucks, 3 4 bucks, like a dollar, less than a dollar here in Japan.
Oh, there you go.
But I'll lock up on like 3 or 4 of it at a time and just go, 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 go. I'm hoping my heart explodes so I can die and leave this mortal coil.
I'll throw it out there. I hope that doesn't happen.
Well, you're one of the few. 'Cause I'm not even on that side.
Uh, at the end of March last year, you became the BJW Deathmatch champion, and it was in
Yeah.
Cork and Hall as well. Being a massive Deathmatch fan, how much did this title mean to you? And winning this title, it's got to be such an honor, and especially to win it in that building.
Um, it's really surreal. So like my entire career, I've won like a hardcore title, but I've never won a death match title, right? And for years, I'll be straight up. Ian Rotten and I hate each other. He hates me for some stuff that I'll never understand. I hate him because he's treated me horribly. He's a horrible human being, right? And he told me I would never be in a King of the Death match. So the icing on the cake was me winning King of the Death match this year, but not any like small one in BFE, Indiana, right?
Mm.
It was the death match in Japan on New Year's Eve in Corrigan Hall. I beat I beat uh Kamatani-san, who was champion at the time, and it shocked the world.
Mhm.
I beat Violetta Jack, who, Freedom's champion. Jack is one of the best. And Wakamatsu, who just killed it at NGI. I'm not NGI, at a Tournament of Survival, because Wakamatsu was great. I went back to back to back, and I shocked the world when I won that thing. So it was icing on the cake to not just win King of the Death match, but the biggest King of the Death match in the world. You can say, your tournament's the granddaddy of them all, whatever the hell you want. I won the King of the Death match in Corrigan Hall on New Year's Eve. I beat some of the best of the best, and I'm the first King of the Death match in about 30 to 40 years
Mm.
since Cactus Jack. That's a lineage. That's pretty freaking cool. And then it just built all the way to the title match, which again, I I tend to think of myself as rather humble. I know it's almost, prideful to say that, oh, I'm a humble person. But when people tell you you're way too humble, like you can kind of go, okay, maybe I am a little bit humble. It's fine.
Mm.
But like the reception of the fans here in Japan to me has been mind-numbingly like insane. Uh I mean, they were behind me when in 2023 when I debuted in Big Japan and I wrestled Masashi Takeda and we had like a match of the year candidate, right?
Yeah,
It shocked everyone and it just spiraled from there. And people in the States would never really pull the trigger on me having a belt for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. Maybe they just didn't think I was on the level or what have you, whatever the excuse is, whatever the reasoning is, nobody would ever pull the trigger on me. And then I started doing stuff with MLW, and it seemed like I was never gonna like win a death match title. I won tournaments, right? I won Masters of Pain, so I won tournaments that people are probably never going to win ever again, which is pretty cool. Uh, but it all led to again being here in Japan and being in a place where it's really hard to uh prove your worth because these fans they've seen the best of wrestling. They know what sucks. They know what's good, and especially if you're a foreigner, to get them to turn to be 100% behind you, despite the fact that you're facing uh, people from their country, because there's always that inherent country bias. You go to Mexico, they're gonna cheer for the Mexicans over
of
you,
course.
right? But in every single match I had with Kamatani, with people, I was either like when I wrestled like Kodaka and other people, like, they would get cheered, but the momentum that I would always have behind me, even now, is staggering. We
Mm.
went to the Oki Islands, so it's like this little island in past Hiroshima,
Right.
and I'd never been there before a day in my life. I went out there and it was like a whole bunch of kids and their families. Like it was a nice little arena thing.
Mm.
It was kind of up. And I went out there and I went into the tag match and all of a sudden, Akira. Man, everyone's looking around like, what the hell? And I'm looking like like I'm vibing. And it always settles into me. Like it would even happen in the States. If I'd go to like Prestige Wrestling, I'd go, which is all the way, Portland, Oregon. I'd go to Australia and I'd wrestle one of my best friends in the world, Callan Butcher, and we'd never wrestled. We'd never even met up until the point where we when we wrestled. And but people were just behind me 100%, and I'd never even been there. It's such a humbling feeling. So when I went into that title match and I'm in Cork and Hall, and it's you get the shark cage. It's a very different
Yeah.
kind of stipulation kind of match, and they're 100% behind me, and they still are, like now. It- It's things that you hear, like especially like, the deathmatch people in states when it was a deathmatch elite, not the deathmatch few, and now some of the worst wrestlers I've ever seen in my life. I It's things that you dream about. Even just regular wrestling fans dream of having that kind of reaction for people. When you come out and they're just behind you, you can just look at the crowd, point, do a little smirk, a little wink, and the crowd roars. That's I don't want to say cinema because I hate when people say it's cinema.
Yeah.
Excuse it. It's euphoric. It is a drug that people cannot understand to have that kind of power and that kind of influence over people. When I won the championship, I'm in that and everyone's screaming when I won, the shock and the happiness, and I could feel the momentum of the company change. When little kids come up to me and go, "Oh, Psycho Samurai," and they bowed. I'm like, I don't want to say I feel like I'm on top of the world, but I do feel like I'm on top of the world. I'll be really on top of the world when I'm, making six figures or something like that someday,
Yeah.
hopefully. But it is that feeling of absolute you're doing something right with your life. Because at the end of the day, there's money and there's all these things, but I'm doing stuff that people will remember forever. And maybe I will be one of those guys that's in a wheelchair. And I mean, I'm not saying that because I do a bunch of crazy stuff, but it's just the nature of the pro wrestling business.
Right.
but or maybe I will be, the guy with the knee replacements, and I'll be walking around like Muda-san nowadays.
Mm.
But you know what? Muda-san is Muda-san, and people know who the fuck he is as soon as they see him, and and that's okay with me. As long as I can make that kind of money where I can just chill
Yeah.
out, not people take care of me, it's perfect. But that man, to have my first deathmatch title, my first world title,
Mm.
be in Cork Hall in Japan, and then to defend it against people like Kikuta, Isami Kodaka, who was a legend in his own right, and then to wrestle another Indiana boy, one of my closest friends in the world, Dale Patricks, in the Yokohama Budokan, in a match that fans still like they come at me and then go, they say crazy, crazy when people like Masashi Takeda and all these people and Yukari, like they go great match, they go crazy, gotta fuck a guys. Like, like there's nothing quite like what I'm doing right now, and like I got about another month of my visa, and I have to go back to the States, and I'll be figuring some things out back in the States. But for 6 months, there's been a lot of lows personally and emotionally. But the career highs are things that people wish that they could do. That's all I can say about that, which is a lot.
Going back to like even before you started training for wrestling, did deathmatch wrestling always stand out as something to you that you wanted to get into?
No, I didn't know
No.
deathmatch wrestling was a thing.
Really?
so,
Oh wow.
so I was into wrestling. Like I grew up as a wrestling fan. Like my dad would always have WWF or WCW on,
Mm.
right? Occasional ECW. My uncle had all that stuff going on. He had the VHSs, like you remember, like the old VHSs. Plug it
Yeah.
in, record the whole show, then
Yeah.
you write
Yes.
what's the event was. I have all of those in the apartment in New York,
Right.
and it's like EW, WCW, WWF, and like my uncle and my dad were very specific about
Mm.
like, oh, this is where Sid Vicious breaks his leg, shit like
Yeah.
very very specific. I actually have that one too, I believe. So, but my uncle would also have like a lot of the Japanese tapes, but it was like New Japan, like All Japan. I'm not. It wasn't like FNW or things like that.
Mm.
Um, I don't think my uncle would expose me to that kind of insanity, even though ECW was there. Um, but I grew up watching that stuff, and then you know what happens when you get in your teenage years. The things that you did like as a kid, you kind of go, maybe I don't care about that anymore. You're more focused on girls, teenage angst, all the hoopla of growing up. That sucks.
Yeah.
So I stopped really caring about wrestling. I kind of fell out because it was also during like the reign of terror when I started becoming like
Mhm.
11, 12 years old. So I don't want to watch a fucking Triple H match. I don't.
Yeah.
Even as a kid, I was like, this isn't for me. I stopped caring. It became kind of goofy. So I missed out really on the Eddie Guerrero, Benoit stuff. I think the last time I watched consistently was uh Rock and Hogan, and then I kind of just phased out.
Mm.
But then started becoming a teenager, and I started focusing on those aspects of life. Went to college, I was gonna try to get just a regular 9 to 5, which in reality, I look back now, I wouldn't even want that back then. It was just kind of, the expectation of family and, and of society. So I got into debt for no reason. Thanks, world. Uh, I I went to college. But luckily, my second year, I became really close friends with a group of guys, and they said, "Hey, we're having a watch-a-thon thing. Do you want to come watch?" I was like, "What is it?" They're like, "Just come watch." I said, "Okay, whatever." I think it was the Royal Rumble where Roman Reigns won for the first time,
Mm.
and they had like a little raffle thing going on, and I picked Roman Reigns. I didn't know, but I won. And I was like, "Oh, well, shit." And so I started watching consistently because, oh, this is my dark horse. I bet on him, which I'm happy to say that my dark horse that I bet on, he's doing pretty well for
Yeah,
himself.
yeah, he's doing okay. Yeah.
Uh, but it got me back into watching kind of more consistently, which then I watched when Nakamura debuted for NXT against Sami Zayn. When he came out again, and I think they were talking about New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's clicked, and I was like, I watched that match, and that match specifically was where I was like, I like wrestling again.
Mm.
Because like I didn't give a shit about like the Roman Reigns stuff. Like it was just I was just watching it because it was like, oh, it's just TV. I'm hanging out with friends and watching. But I watched that match. I was like, oh, wrestling can be like a sport, athletic sport again. Like it's much more. It's not a Triple H match. No offense, Triple H.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to get back into this. So that's when I started watching, New Japan, All Japan, getting into Ring of Honor, all the other promotions. Not that I was thinking I want to get into wrestling, but like it was more I just I'm watching this stuff. I like this stuff, and really New Japan and all these other things were really hitting hard better for me of like the things that I like in terms of art, music, film, etc. And then a few years later is when I graduated college, could find a job because the job market is the absolute shit, especially if you're trying to do anything in public relations. You need to be in a big city, that kind of stuff. I I just decided I went to a live show and I watched Dean Ambrose at the time. We know who he is now. Fuck that guy, by the way. Uh, respectfully. And versus AJ Styles in a house show in a TLC match. I watched that match live with my uncle. And I looked at my uncle, rest in peace, and I said, I'm going to be a wrestler. And he said, do it. And I looked for schools, and 6 months later, I became a trainee. And again, I still didn't know what deathmatch wrestling was. Like even now, like I'm a deathmatch wrestler, right? But I still say I'm a pro wrestler. I'm just a guy who I'm the things that I do in a deathmatch, I do in a regular match. Like it's just one has I put a glass and I drop you on your head or something like that, right? The psychology of things has changed a lot for me, but I still look at like uh, I'm a pro wrestler, but I'm a pro wrestler who will bleed, and I'm a pro wrestler who's tougher than your favorites. I'm guaranteed. You don't get your face clawed open and wrestle another no 10 minutes or your side. Thanks, Drake. Uh, but I only started watching deathmatch wrestling kind of when I was starting to do it
Mm.
because I even when I was training, I think I watched one tournament of death match with my trainer just because it was on, and I looked at it, I was like, man, I could never do that. Oh, the absolute irony of that statement. Trust me, there never doesn't be drawn on me. Uh, I watched that. I watched Joe and Necro.
Mm.
Um, but that was on death match. But I watched that match and I was like, that's the kind of match that I like, where it's real and it's bloody and it's visceral. That's the kind of stuff I want to do. You know, people see my matches like Speedball Mike Bailey at Prestige, and then we had our Bloodsport match. Like I can do the more theatrical uh style, like I did with Mike the first time. But then when Mike and I just shake hands, go, let's fight, and we fought. People believed, they believed, and that's the stuff that I love, man. I love being able to turn it on and off, on and off. Uh, my first death match I watched live was actually Alex Colon versus Jun Kasai at They Said It Couldn't Be Done. Yeah, that was the match where I watched it and it clicked to me with what death match wrestling could be. It's a pro wrestling match, but with the added theatrics of glass exploding, weapons, and again, I guess it didn't really click to me like that's all it was. Like it's really not that complicated. You just have to know how to wrestle, and you just build in with weapons. And people still, I guess, don't understand that because you still see people just throwing shit and hitting each other with shit and think that that's a match. And people wonder why nothing's memorable. But that's a whole discussion for another time. I could write a whole thesis statement on what the fuck happened to the scene. Um, uh, but like that was my first foray into watching death matches and where it clicked for me. And then I started watching stuff like Big Japan. And I started watching Freedoms. I didn't really watch American death match wrestling because to me, like the Japanese just do wrestling better, and they still do.
Uh, so when you started on the, I think it was the local Louisiana scene, um,
Indiana.
in yeah, um, sorry, yeah, I said Louisiana then, Indiana scene. Sorry,
I was not born on the bayou. Okay.
no. So when you started on the Indiana scene, how much of that wrestler would you recognize now? You know, do you feel like you're just a completely different style of wrestler? Is there any part of you that's like still that wrestler?
And so one of my favorite matches is Shibata versus Okada,
Mm.
and I still have. Oh, by the way, cameo by Madman Pondo.
Good to see you, sir.
um, I'm still at the core of myself, the hard-headed dappler, but now I've also thrown in um aspects like, I do some like stuff like Marufuji would do now. Like
Mm,
I look at myself from back then, and I was such a scrawny little kid in comparison to now. But there's still little things that I see. I saw that same kind of fire, that same kind of energy, that
mm,
same kind of je ne sais quoi, I guess you can call it, of just being able to reach a crowd, doesn't matter where it's at, and get them kind of to be behind me. But I look at that kid from God 7 years ago, and it I go, man, it's only been 7 years. People talk like I've been doing this for some people I think I've been doing it for like 12 to 15. I'm like, no. No, 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 no. I'm still very young in terms of the business. Uh I watched a match recently because it popped up in my Facebook memories. It was like, God, like one of my 12th or 15th match, and
mm,
I could see these little things that like were still me, but I was also so young and so spry and just bumping around and flying around and just being crazy. I wasn't as, mythological and controlled
mm.
as I am now. It was very much a kid who was excited to be there versus uh I'd say I'm more in the veins of like a KG Muda now. Like when Muda attacks someone, he's very, when he hits the low drop kick to the legs, and they're screaming in pain. He'll like get behind them like he looks like an animal ready to attack again.
Yeah.
I've become more like that nowadays. I think. Uh, I still have that same kind of I don't want to say crackhead energy, but I have that stain, that visceral like uh mojo that people love.
Mm,
I kind of vibing to like my music, or I'm
yeah.
about to attack someone. But when I'm in the zone, I'm like locked in. I look much more like a fine-tuned predator than a kid who's just happy to be there.
Yeah, okay. We mentioned the King of the Deathmatch tournament earlier. We got some clips here from it as well.
Oh
What
man.
what was it like? Like I know it feels like so long ago, yet like yeah, so recent as well at the same time, watching these clips now. It was an incredible tournament all round. But what made it so special for you? Like I know just the way you were speaking about it earlier, how much it meant to you. What was it like actually being in that tournament and then obviously going on to win that?
Oh god. Being in the tournament itself was cool.
Mm,
Like for me, because again, it was just I was in a King of the Death match. I was told I'd never be in it, right? So it was my first time ever doing this, and we go in there. Well, so I get to the day before, and they had an event the day before, and it was decently filled, right?
mm,
And I was like, oh man, I hope they remember me. I hope they're excited. I walk out as they play my music. This is when I was still using Fight to Survive.
mm.
And my God, when I came out, the fan reaction, and then they started chanting Akira. I was like, oh man, they do remember me. And then I came out for my first match, and just again the crowd was electric. They were just so behind me 100%. It was people aspire to get that kind of reaction out of people. You know, that kind of dedication, that loyalty. Um, Being in that tournament and then going all the way to win it, like I was flabbergasted when I won it. I was beyond shocked. I was expecting to come in and maybe lose in the first round because I always set the I always set the bar to be as low as possible in terms of my expectations.
All right.
So if anything goes above it, I can't be disappointed. um, but yeah, man, like I won that thing, and I knew I did something special, and I was going to do something special, and that's all I could say about it. It's a moment where I lived it. I can't even fully explain the viscerality and the levels and waves of emotions that I was feeling at the time. I felt vindicated in my own way because unfortunately, for better for worse, I've had to live and wrestle and do things my way. Like even like my Twitter handle, all in my Instagram handle, all my social handles, the Akira way, doing things my way, not anyone's particular way. And it's doing it my way and proving to the world that I can do what I said I was going to do. And I've had people message me lately nowadays that they tell me, you did do it your way, and you are doing it your way, and we never should have doubted you. And that's that's what felt good to me.
Like, tournaments have always been such a big thing within wrestling, but especially within that like the hardcore deathmatch scene. And like obviously this is like the biggest one. How do you prepare yourself to like go through a tournament as opposed to like just a death match?
I get asked this question.
Mm,
Yeah, it's always funny because people go like, "Do you have like a thing that you do? How do you hype yourself?" I'm like, I just like before every
yeah,
match, I'll do wake up. All right, let's go. That's it.
mm.
And people go like, "You don't like think about how much you're gonna hurt?" And I go, "No."
Right.
Just kind of I kind of just accept. I'm like, this is the job. Go to the job.
Mm.
Because like when I got
Yeah.
this eye scar, I didn't even know until like 20 minutes after the match when I washed my face. People said, hospital." And I was like, "What?" They're like, "Hospital now." And I'm like, "Why?" I'm like, "Can't you just glue it?" I like I don't register how much things suck until much later. And then I kinda regret it. Like, when I did the Oklahoma booty climb with Dale,
Mm.
we both didn't realize how fucking cut up we were from the Razor Cross until, 20 minutes after the match. And then I didn't really realize until someone Pondo looked at my back and he saw just one of the holes in my back was just like a mouth, and he was like, "Yeah, no, you gotta go to the hospital." Even the one with, like, on my side right here, where I got from Drake,
Mm.
uh, I didn't like, it happened to me. I didn't think, "Oh, we gotta stop the match." I thought, "No, no, 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 tape this up. We're finishing the damn thing," you know? Even the one from Tremont, though I didn't go to the hospital for that one. Like, I had a hole in the middle of my chest,
Mm.
right? That was, like, 5 minutes into the match. I was like, "No, no, 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 no. I'm gonna finish this because this is the biggest match of my career so far, right?" And I just did it. Now, mind you, the drive home after, especially once it was all wrapped up and stuff, was awful because the adrenaline comes down. But that's one thing I could say is when my adrenaline's up, you can't hurt me. You cannot hurt me. Doesn't matter what you do. Wakamatsu did that top rope elbow drop. And mind you, this is match 3 of like a 7-hour tournament. Like, I'm after the match, I was wiped, but I was so alive in that moment. He
Mm.
crushed on me. A lot of people would have quit right then and there. And I was like, "Oh, give me a minute. I can't breathe. All right, I'm back. Let's go." Like, I don't have a methodology. I can't tell people how to handle the pain. I just do it because, like, honestly, to me, like, that's what deathmatch wrestling is kind of about is perseverance through pain, you know? Yeah, ironically, I was using the song "Fight to Survive" from Bloodsport. That's life. You fight to
Mm.
survive through all the bullshit. Life hurts, like does horrible things to you and makes you feel like you want to end it all, but you got to continue. You got to survive because you've got expectations, you've got dreams. And I'll be damned if I'm not going to try to achieve all those things. So to me, it's pain. That's all it is. And now, mind you, in terms of do I want to do that for the rest of my life? I The answer is no. Like I don't want to. Like I want to wrestle my whole life. I want to keep going until I'm in my 50s or 60s. But that's also why I'm kind of abstaining from light tubes as much as I am nowadays and glass panes because just I want to do other things. I'm an artist at the end of the day, and I want to paint with different brushes. And even deathmatch wrestling has more than one brush. I also want to do more pro wrestling outside of it. I want to get a Ring of Honor, AEW, TNA, wherever. Even or a big like another Japanese company one day. But I want to paint with different brushes. I want to do different things, and also I think glass has damaged deathmatch wrestling in a major way because it's just a crutch for people that can't wrestle.
Right. I think there is kind of that stigma, isn't there? Especially with deathmatch wrestling, that it's for people that can't wrestle. It's for
Yeah.
and I think like you were kind of alluding to, that's kind of becoming more and more of the case. The further we're getting into that scene, which is unfortunate. Because yeah, I don't know why. It's almost as if that stigma is kind of self-prophesizing itself down the line, which is a bit of a weird thing.
It's it's a very weird thing because when I really came into deathmatch wrestling, like the theme was filmed. Obviously, you had people like Schlack, which Schlack can wrestle, but Schlack is Schlack. He's a monster.
Mm.
Don't throw shit at you. It's kind of part and parcel of the whole
Right.
I kill people thing. But you had wrestlers like Alex Colon, Eric Ryan, Murdoch, Reed Bentley, all these guys. Um, that question again, like Takeda, like that dude can wrestle. Now I feel like almost like an outsider looking in because I look at the deathmatch team in the States and I get nothing out of it. Like for
Mm.
me, I'm just like, I don't look at people and go, I want to wrestle them. It's more, I'm kind of apathetic over the whole thing. Um, it's a lot of light tubes being thrown, a lot of glass panes, and I really loved. I just love like different like stipulations. I like neuro barbed wires. I like all the different kinds of styles uh, of weapons because I don't know. It's a different kind of reaction. It's a different kind of thing. It's almost like a movie. If you're a movie director and you're just given one style of killer or one style of weapon death, and it's like that's all you can do. It's like I'm like I want to do different things. I want to film a Final Destination. I want to film a Nightmare on Elm Street. I want to film a Halloween movie. I don't want it to be just Hostel over and over and over and over and over and over and over. I'm like, bro, I can only watch Hostel once.
Right.
Like then I'm bored. Now, mind you, I still like cringe at the weapon stuff, but I get nothing out of it because I'm like it's just the same shit over and over and over and over. And you want to. I almost view wrestling as in terms of like of a movie of like you're the director, you're the actor, and you're you're the writer. And a lot of people just want to write the same story over and over again, and I'm like, I don't want to do that.
In early 2023, now see, I can't understand how you could do deathmatch wrestling, but then you could also bang your knee and then go out.
Oh,
How does that work?
um, brother, the human body is a fickle bitch,
Yeah.
a fickle bitch. Like I can't count how often sometimes after a match or even before a match, my knees will just swell up. I'll have to like, okay, right to the pain, right to the
Uh,
pain. Uh, we are slaves to the the anatomy of
mm,
our bodies, and you can do a whole bunch of shit, but if your ACL pops, your ACL pops.
yeah,
There's no rhyme or reason to why that happens. Sometimes it just happens, and that's all you can do. Like I've
yeah,
had matches where I'm pretty sure my ACL popped, and I was basically one-legged, so I'm limping around. I'm like, oh, you still got to do the thing, still got to go, still got to go. But then afterwards, I'm sitting in the back going, fuck,
yeah.
fuck. even
Oh, sorry, no,
even
go on.
even like yeah, because it's funny because there's the match that I had with the Speedball Mike Bailey, right?
Yeah,
And when he does the Ultimate Weapon, and people thought I broke my back, right?
yeah,
The fucked up thing was I felt nothing. Like maybe it's because again I'm a sicko who just doesn't really hurt, but like I went, ooh, that didn't feel great. And then one, two, three, and the next day I wake up, I go, I go to stretch all my limbs, like a cat,
yeah.
and then my knee just pops, swells up, and I'm like, motherfucker. I was like, really, really. And so the whole for like a week, I was limping around, and even go like from the match, I go, no,
No.
I woke up. That's what happened.
So I was going to say, in 2023, when you signed for MLW, um,
Hmm.
you'd said you've said before that you just had this feeling that you kind of like just woke up one day and you're like, I just know I'm going to get signed, and this really happened like really quickly. What was it? What was it? Like, was there something in the air? Was it just the self belief? Like, what? Why do you think that happened?
I just God, God is my witness. I don't know.
Mm,
I had the feeling of like I want to get picked up by a bigger company, and I want to do something on a televised format, and I still do. Um, Things are kind of in between right now. I can't really say
okay.
what's what at the moment, but I felt it, and I was like, I think I want to get signed, and I still do. The dream is to get signed by that six-figure contract and
Mm,
wrestle once or twice a week and chill the hell out for once in your life. I still feel like that's kind of in the air. I don't know what it is, but right now, I've had a couple people message me and they say people are watching in the States, and I go, really? They go, people are watching in the States, and I go, sure. I'm that guy who will kind of go, sure, whatever. I'll kind of brush it off,
right.
and if whatever happens, happens. But then I got picked up, and they were like, "Hey, we want to sign you to a deal." I was like, "Oh shit!" I read the contract, and I was like, especially at the time because they were just running the ECW arena. I said, "Yeah, I've never wrestled in the ECW arena. Why not? What's the worst thing that can happen?" Uh, and then I debuted, and people knew me immediately because it's East Coast, the ECW arena. Even though it's not ECW fans, they're filled with the hardcore fans who they know who the hell I am. Came in, and it was another day at the office, but it was also a learning experience because of MLW and the people they gave me the chance to wrestle. People like Suzuki, Kenta. Like
Mm,
I've grown exponentially because of that. I got to be under Raven and
yeah.
RSP's tutelage, so that's when I became a promo guy, and people were really surprised with how I turned out from that. They were like, "Wow, you can talk." And I was like, "You never gave me the chance to." But I was given tutelage at two people whose two of their best traits are their promos. So now I can just cut a promo like that, and people are surprised at the efficacy of it all.
Mm,
And it just happened. Like it was something in the air, and you always want to have that drive. I still want to be the deathmatch guy that gets picked up by an even bigger company. That's the crazy dream. and to actually go all the way and do cool things in that contract and kind of pave the way for the rest. That's kind of been my whole spiel my entire career is just showing that you can do things outside of not just a corporate system, but just the regular independent system. Oh, you got to go through this particular company to get seen on a bigger level. That kind of the whole thing. Uh, for better or for worse, it's tiring, it's exhausting, and all you can do is kind of hope that there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Um, Now, kind of BJW, Big Tires, or Big Japan, sorry, is become almost like a second home. I guess you've had huge success there now. Um, what makes that company so special? Do you think to you, like what makes it stand out so much?
Well, it's the death matches.
Mm.
It's the death matches, and it's the ability of them to show death matches on a main event level, but it's also to show a different style of strong matches because a lot of the guys now aren't get like a lot of the main event scenes in Japan, they don't have a guy like, Daichi Hashimoto, who Daichi's a whole different animal. He's a whole different animal killer. Daisuke Sekimoto, get well soon. Like the strong guys are special in their own way. Um, but then they have death matches, and it's not, and especially now, it's not just, class. It's the ability to show barbed wire, razor crosses, you know, uh, thumbtacks, different stipulations, different styles, and that's what people want to see. Like, because a lot of people can go to Noah and see great matches, and go to New Japan and see just great pro wrestling matches. But the best part about Big Japan is you get to see different styles of wrestling all in one thing. It's not just one style. It's not just junior style. It's not just like Dragon Gate's cool because it's all junior style. Big Japan is the only place where you can see main event strong matches or main event death matches, you know? And so it's just kind of a little history behind it too.
Now, since we're based in the UK, I've got to bring up the Tiger King to the UK. I know you were in a few different death matches, but there was one particular match where you faced Johnny Storm, the UK legend.
Yes.
What was your time like in the UK? How did you feel that it varied from different countries around the world that you performed in?
I want to spend more time in the UK. Unfortunately, that like the weekend was fun because I got to wrestle a guy like Johnny Storm, and apparently, from what I've been told, this it's all can all be hearsay, but he still talks about that match. He was like, I was really surprised how fun that match was.
Mm.
Um, and I'm happy to go against guys like again. I'm happy to go against older guys like that who've been around and done things, and prove myself to them to where they still talk about it. So that's a cool little thing that like it's hard to appeal to the old heads sometimes, especially as part of the newer generation. But unfortunately, my time in the UK was like that 2.5 days that we were there. I didn't really get to go out and walk around or do anything. It was show, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Um, I I really want to come back and do like a week or two, even three stint in the UK and in Europe, and I want to grab Coda and come around and do all that stuff. I want to spend more time in those environments and in that culture and really take it in because I'm also a huge heavy metal mark.
Mm.
So like UK is the home of heavy metal. Like why
Yeah.
would I not want to spend more time there and go to Birmingham and go to all these places and be like, oh, dude, this is where they all started. This is so
Yeah.
cool.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, you could talk about Birmingham with Sabbath. There's just Sheffield at top. Yeah, oh, there's just so many. Yeah, yeah, there's just so many places. Yeah, I would think that trip would be pretty special. You'd have to plan
I
your
want.
dates around.
I just want to go to. I also want to go to Stonehenge.
Mm.
It's literally just people if they want to fly me over. I've had talks to some people and they go, we really don't want to pay the money to fly you over. And I'm like, I get it, but I'm like, well, maybe another day. I really want to come over there and not just be there for a weekend. I want to do show. And I know. is it Ireland or Scotland where Stonehenge is? I want to go to Stonehenge.
Scotland. Scotland, yeah.
Scotland. I really want to go see Stonehenge. I I really want to go and take the picture and just see that thing. And I can I always think it's Final Tap.
I was just about to say the same thing. Yeah.
It's so tiny.
Yeah, they mix up feet with inches. Ah, fantastic. Um, Before we let you go today, we got to ask how Cota's doing.
What was it?
I said before we let you go today, have to ask you how is Kota doing at the moment?
Oh, he is chilling with my mom and dad.
Nice.
He is attached to my dad. Uh, he follows my dad everywhere. My dad also spoils him, so he's obviously eating his dog food, but he gets like ribs, he gets pizza, he's getting the royal treatment.
Nice.
He's doing great. I'll be excited to be back in the States and to finally be around him again. I already told myself I'm never gonna be this gone for him ever again.
Mm,
Like I hate I that's the one thing I hate the most
yeah.
is that I'm not there. But he's also with my mom and dad, and they're treating him like he's their actual grandson, which
Yeah.
he is. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I get videos, I get pictures all the time. Um, my mom, who was kind of like, God, having another dog in the house. And now I see videos for playing with him, walking him, and screwing around with him. I'm like, yep, there it is.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today. Like like you mentioned, in that previous interview a few years ago when you were saying about you had a feeling you were going to get signed. I don't know why, but it just feels like there's something in the air again. It feels like 2025 is going to be something special. I don't know if you feel it as well, but definitely from a fan's perspective, it feels like something big is going to happen, especially this year. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on the channel today. Anything else you want to plug before we let you go today?
Uh, no, I mean, if you're a card guy, like trading cards, baseball, football, or UK football, whatever we
Mm,
call it.
yeah.
Um, uh, my sponsor is the place to go to if you want to get those cards from hitmansportsbreaks.com. You can use the code Akira10. No, it doesn't matter if caps or not, but you can get 10% on all card orders, and it's forever. It doesn't matter like what order it is. And anyone who's into trading cards knows that trading cards are expensive, so getting any kind of percentage off is great. I just had a new merch drop with Justin Wang too. So it's uh tank tops, t-shirts, dad hats, pins, shorts, and I think a flag. And it's a really cool design that Justin and I worked on together. That's now on my merch page, deathsamurai.com,
Mm,
which is now has a wholesale now as well, which you just use the code Wang Chung 15 because I'm a one tongue mark and expression Wang. But use that code to get 15% off on all non merch drop items. So if it's any of my merchandise, you get 15% off. Um, then yeah, I'll be back to streaming when I'm back in the States. Twitch.tv/CKOA. Uh, yeah, that's basically it. And until I have more dates in the States, and if I can get some dates in the UK and in Scotland and Ireland, then I plug those too. But I don't have them right now. So
no, thank you so much again. Stay on the line. We'll do a proper goodbye in a moment off screen as well as we
no problem.
wrap this show up. Guys, another amazing interview there today. Like I said at the start of the interview, Akira is definitely somebody that I've wanted to have on the channel for a long, long time now. I'm just so glad we finally managed to get our schedules together and match them up. And like I said, I really feel like there is going to be something special, especially maybe towards the end of the year, as if he's not having the best year already, winning that BJW title there that we saw clips of as well. But guys, thank you as always for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment down below. Leave any favorite Akira moments down in the comment section there. And as always, guys, look after each other. Peace. We'll see you guys soon. Bye, guys.